This is the 17th season of Bass Talk Live with your hosts, Mark Jeffries and Matt Pangrat. BTL is brought to you by Lowrance, Bass Cat Boats, Affco, Duck and Fishing, Strike King Lures, Sunline, Big Bite Baits, Spro, xzone Lures, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, and Denali Rods. BTL coming at you. Good Tuesday, everybody. Welcome once again to another edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where Matt and I are going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Matthew, how you doing?
I'm excited for today's show. It kind of kicks off a string of guys who have caught a fish or two in their lifetime in the upcoming shows. And you went through yesterday. We've got, Hackney coming up, the collegiate
KVD.
angler, KVD. Gray Buck tomorrow, and Ott DeFoe from a duck blind.
Yeah, real quick,
today.
folks. This was not the plan. The plan was he was going to be at his house. We were going to get the video feed, and he was going to be on the show with the normal video feed. But he had the opportunity to go duck hunting this morning.
Can you blame him?
No. So he's like, no, man, we'll do the show. We tried to do it via the video format, but the signal just wasn't
Duck
good
blind
enough.
was a little
Yeah.
signal. So I was thinking about this for the show. So the plethora of places that we have done BTL interviews, obviously number one all time, hard to beat ever, would be David Dudley raccoon hunting at night, who got stuck in the barbed wire fence.
Yes,
That would be number one.
I agree.
We had the one, remember when the power company knocked down Steve Kennedy's telephone pole outside his house during the interview?
Oh, yeah.
That would have been a good one. We got Ott DeFoe from a duck blind. We've done numerous guys from the water. Remember, we've had some fish catches on the show before. Have we done a guy in a deer stand? There's got to be at some point over the 17 years of this, we've had to interview someone who's in a deer stand at the time. Any other crazy locations for BTL interviews that come to the top of your mind off the hopper?
No, not really. Man, that's a lot of shows and a lot of memories, and I don't remember. I don't recall anything.
All right, so we've given Ott instructions that should a flock of what is it called? What is it? This is how much of a non-hunter I am, folks. Do they call them a flock of ducks? A covey? A gaggle? What is it called? I
don't know.
What is it called when
A bunch of ducks.
What a bunch of a bunch. I'm gonna get massacred for this one. What is it called?
I don't know, man. I'm not a duck hunter. You know, I have a lot of players on my team.
A quail is a covey.
Yeah, big time duck hunter.
Geese is a gaggle.
Dude, I don't know.
A flock.
I really don't know.
A flock of geese sounds right.
What was the Mighty Ducks formation? The flying V?
I'm getting a raft. A flock of ducks.
Flock of ducks.
Yeah. So if a flock of ducks comes by, he has instructions to stop mid-sentence. And I think, what is it, steel now? I don't know if they're allowed. Are they allowed to use lead everywhere still? I know that.
I think so.
And let it fly.
Yeah. You ever had duck?
A raft of ducks.
Yeah. You ever ate duck?
Yeah, it's really good.
You like it?
Yeah, it's the dark meat. Yeah. Duck breast.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Did you have buckshot in there?
No.
You had to pick it out?
No.
So whoever cooked it
knew what they were doing.
Did a good job. Yeah. All right, so that's kind of the plan today. We will have Ott DeFoe on via the Sunline hotline. All right, some news came down yesterday, Matthew. I don't know if you saw it or not. This is very interesting to me that Major League Fishing signed a new sponsor.
I saw that this morning.
Yeah.
Academy.
Yeah, which is, I see it happening because of Jacob Wheeler's presence in Major League Fishing, with that being one of his title sponsors. But now they're seriously dipping their toes in both swimming pools.
Yes. Because they're with Bassmaster too and some anglers over there, aren't they?
Oh yeah, Greg Hackney.
Yeah, I mean Hackney, big time with them.
Yeah, I remember Hackney when he made the announcement that he had signed a deal with Academy, that he said this is something that he's been working for all of his life, right? And this is a guy that has done everything in the sport except for one thing:
win the Bassmaster Classic.
That's it.
Literally. Has done everything. I'm looking for that. Do you see the press release?
Yeah, I got it right here.
Okay. Well, I typically read I typically read one of the stock lines out of it. See, I've got
typical stuff. You know, it was interesting, and the Bass Fan rankings.
The Cup events is what they're sponsoring.
Yeah.
The 2021 Cup events, including title sponsorship of the 2021 Heritage Cup.
I want to get to the Bass Fan rankings real quick. And it's kind of been a staple for a long time, ever since Bass Fan's been in existence. But can you truly rank these guys in two totally different formats?
Well, they have a different system for it. And I mean, it's been sometimes you'll see a guy jump up in them, but as a whole, it's really hard to rank them. But as a whole, I mean, you have to have some overall system. You have to.
Why?
Because it makes for good conversation.
All right, we're talking about it right now, but the reason that I'm talking about it is you can't compare the two ways that these guys are trying to catch fish. You can based on
statistical finishes versus the field.
I totally disagree.
Statistical finishes versus the field is the way to go. It's not like they're ranking them based on how many total pounds they caught or anything. They're just ranking them based on...
Yeah, but you can't do that. What if you dominate for 2 days and then you're done?
What do you mean?
In Major League Fishing.
Yeah, well...
Because of the way that they drop weights.
Then you didn't dominate in that. You just dominated for 2 days.
So it's all about winning then?
Yeah, basically.
Basically, that's it. If you win, you're going to move up the board.
It's all about top 10 finishes.
Dude, but you're winning in two different styles.
You can't compare apples to oranges.
That's what you're doing, though.
No, as far as saying... that would be like the exact same as saying a guy who led the Elite Series for 2 days and then zeroed on the third day and finished 50th. Or 35th. He still made the cut, but he finished 35th, and you're sitting there going, well, he led the tournament for the first 2 days. It doesn't matter. It's how you finish, and it doesn't matter how you get to those finishes. A top 10 finish is a top 10 finish, and you can argue how to get there and which one you like and how honest it is, but they're ranking them based on their finishes. They're not ranking them based on how many pounds they catch, or they're ranking them based on the field versus their finishes. So, yes, I think it's a valid... It's valid
two different
ranking.
Types, dude.
I 100% agree.
It's two different types.
I agree. It's two different types.
So what
else would you rather them do? Just have two different rankings? So you have two number ones, the 5 fish limit number ones, and MLF number ones?
Like I said, like I opened my statement, they've been doing this forever. I mean, what are they going to do? They got to do something if they want to continue it. I just don't see...
I haven't looked at them for a while now.
If you base it purely upon the
finishes,
where you finish,
yes, that's what they're based on. Why would you base it on anything else?
Well, that's fine. Then do it for each of the organizations. Because it's two different things. I mean, from a finish standpoint, yeah.
Good
no matter,
Lord,
dude,
have you looked at these things lately?
No, I haven't.
Where? I haven't either. Where? Okay.
What?
Jacob Wheeler's number 1. And then some guy named Ott DeFoe is number 2.
Yeah.
I hear he's a good duck hunter. Polinick's number 3. There's the top 3. Where do you think the initials rank on the Bass Fan World ranking?
He's probably in the 50s.
Lower.
Lower than 50s. 70s?
65.
Well, that's part of the reason why I wanted to get him on the show. Is to talk to him about, obviously, his recent performances.
And it is definitely based on recent. I don't exactly know how they do it, but
Well, they do
obviously
2 years.
Well,
I think it's 2 years.
Okay, 2 years. I don't know. Well, you look at, and I think you get more points. I don't know how they do it, but I mean, Frank Talley, who had an incredible year on the Bassmaster Elite Series, won one.
Yeah.
He's only been doing it 2-3 years.
Yeah.
You know, he's 50th. I'm not saying Frank isn't a great fisherman, but you just compare, you know.
I don't know, man.
Heck, Shane LaHue is higher than Kevin in these rankings.
Well, he did qualify for the Bassmaster Classic.
That's crazy. Hackney is number 68.
He didn't catch him well.
I thought we had big guys on this next week, and we got 65 and 68 the world. Come on, Mark. You can do better than that.
I'm sorry, man. I tried. But don't you think people want to know, hey, what's up with KVD? Is there something up with KVD?
Nah, I don't think there's anything. I think he's got so many irons in the fire, and he's rolling, man.
See, I disagree. And we're going to find out on Monday. I don't think that's it. I just think there's something fishing related.
Okay, well,
that
we
is
could just
occurring.
start poking the bear again and remember when he won 3 in a year last time and then
Dude, that's not what I'm saying.
popping Bush beer out on stage, soaking everybody, going, what now? Remember that the last time?
I know. I kind of jumped on him a little bit.
I mean, I don't know. At what point, and I get that with the sports. I mean, Aaron Rodgers goes through that all the time. You ever seen him?
Yeah.
Some of the quotes that he's had?
Oh, yeah.
Where he's like, dude, a crappy year for me is better than 90% of the quarterbacks in the league, and you guys are getting on my case about it?
Huh. Yeah. All right. Real quick, and then we'll take a break and come back with...
Where were you going with that?
DeFoe.
Sorry, we got sidetracked.
No, they mentioned the rankings because of where Wheeler was ranked.
Oh, did this start with the Academy deal?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't have the compulsory quote here from the normal quote. We're thrilled to welcome Academy to the MLF family as sponsor, said Jim Wilborn. Sponsorship of the MLF Cups aligns the Academy brand with the strongest fishing audience in television, including logo placements on boats and angler jerseys throughout the season.
Yeah.
We don't need to hear the Academy quote, too, do we?
What'd he have to say?
This would be Larry Roberts, who is Academy Sports and Outdoors Senior Vice President and General Merchandising Manager of Outdoors. His business card is crowded with that title. Academy Sports and Outdoors takes pride in finding new ways to increase participation in fishing and connecting anglers of all experience levels to our wide assortment of on-the-water products. By teaming up with MLF, we will be able to reach core customers across the country and help people make fun memories together. I got to tell you, Academy is a great place to go buy tackle.
It is.
I mean, it really is.
Yeah, it is.
And you go in there and you see they have a lot of professional anglers highlighted in their rod sections, in their end caps, and their products.
Yeah.
You know, there's a section of the country that isn't super familiar with Academy just based on where they're located, and you can go in there and get what you need. And they have some good stuff. They have some specialty stuff too.
They do. And a lot of other stuff. Nike stuff, Adidas stuff.
Would you say it's one of your go-tos?
Stuff.
It's one of my go-tos. 100% it's one of my go-tos.
100%, man. All right.
While we're on the topic of that, do you see Zonas with Luz?
I saw that. Yeah.
It's a move that makes sense for the guys that were with Strike King after the purchase, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it only makes sense. I think that was just a matter of time. The alignment with companies that own multiple companies or multiple brands within the industry, you're seeing a lot of...
That's literally what he said.
Yeah.
He said, I honestly look at Strike King and Luz as one company, a family in a sense.
Yeah.
Same deal with KVD.
Yeah, 100%.
65th ranked angler in the world.
You said it, not me. All right, real quick. I got an email here, dude.
All right.
Crack me up.
Okay.
All right, and I'm not going to say his last name. First name is Rick.
Okay.
And I think Rick is from California, but I'm not sure. And he said, dude, in all caps, with like 12 exclamation points.
Okay.
Says, I melted when you mentioned Molly Hatchet. when I'm sitting at my dumbass computer working for or working on some meaningless spreadsheet for my overcompensated yuppie boss that he needs by 9 a.m., Whiskey Man pops into my head and reminds me I was a badass cruising the Bay Area in a Mustang before he was born. Hell yeah. Is that not awesome?
That's a good email.
And that's from Rick. Rick was a little frustrated with
Rick has a great command of the English language there.
with his yuppie boss. Dude, I've been there. I've been there. In my early stages of my career with UPS, those exact words, when I read that, I just reminisced. Dude,
it resonated with
I
you.
went through the same exact thing. I was like, why the hell do you want this spreadsheet? Seriously? What are you going to do with this?
Did you, in your later years, transition into being the yuppie boss, though?
No, because it was more about the meat and potatoes than it was the micromanagement. And UPS as a company actually started to change through the latter part of my career.
I just don't.
Dude, when
I
it
don't
first
feel
started
like
out,
I would have lasted long working
it was
under you
horrible.
at UPS. Like, if you were my boss at UPS, I could possibly have seen myself writing an email. In my younger days, something, would you not agree, though?
It would have been difficult.
Were you
for
an easy guy to work for?
Easy.
Really?
If you did one thing. All right? Because there was one thing that was really, really important to me, and that was accountability. In other words, if I gave you something to do, get it done.
Well, what if it was a meaningless spreadsheet?
I was not into that, dude.
Okay.
I really wasn't. In the early stages, there were stuff that I had to report on as a accounting office manager that my boss wanted, of which I had to get my supervisors to do some of this stuff.
Note of that.
Anyway.
I got you.
But when I had more control over the situation, it was like, no, man, I want meat and potatoes. I don't want to know meaningless details that really aren't going to add value or help the situation.
I got you.
You would have had, it would have been very, very challenging.
You've reminded me of that over the years.
Yeah,
you know what? You know what
very
doesn't
challenging.
exist anymore, Mark?
What's that?
FLW.
Well, that's kind of weird, man. I'm going to have to get some
Why is it weird?
clarification. Because
They
I
knew they
was
were gonna
under
integrate.
I know, but I was under the impression that they were going to keep the FLW fishing
Oh, I wasn't.
website going for a little while.
They did for a little while. Today
And then
I
I
logged
guess-
on. I was going to find some of Ott DeFoe's, and the FLWfishing.com redirects to Major League
MLF.
Fishing, and their Facebook page and all that is now Major League Fishing
Yeah.
and the Big Five. Like,
Well.
it's gone.
That's part of it, man.
It is no moss.
Yeah. Yeah. Wonder what
The
happens to
MLF,
all that.
YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that.
I wonder what happens to all that historical data.
Well, so I was curious, so I looked up my FLW stats from my very short career, 14 tournaments over there, and it still pulls up. And I must say, the angler profiles, as far as the photos and the finishes and how it went down and stuff, are much easier to access and see.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, and I hope that they do this, you cannot click, like if I wanted to see how I did in 2013 when I, tore the world on fire with a 39th place finish in the BFLs, to see how I finished in all 5 of those, can't click on that anymore. Like, you can't see the tournament breakdown.
Yeah.
I hope they go back to that. That's valuable stuff for nerds like me, and when you're going back and doing history,
Well, I'm gonna
and
make
researching tournaments.
I'm gonna make a phone
I know
call
you have to
and find out
integrate a
about that.
bunch of stuff over, but I hope it's not just like, oh, here's your line of stats. I hope you can actually go in and see how they did in each tournament and click
Yeah.
on it. Because
Yeah.
right now it's just the meat and potatoes.
I'll see what I can find out on that, and we will hopefully get a response back from somebody. I'll give Joe a call. Joe can find out for us.
Yep.
And see where all that data was. I did receive another interesting email that was related to that. And I'm not really going to bring it up, but I will say this. Because of the current situation, Would there be an opportunity to do the 20 feet deep that I've been talking about for a long time now that that organization is no longer in existence? In other words, would people talk about that situation now since FLW doesn't exist anymore?
I think you got to get a few more years down the road for that, Mark.
That would be a great one, dude.
That's a 2 or 3, 4 years down the road.
Still?
Yeah, that's it. That pot's still simmering.
20 years later, dude?
What do you mean, the beginning of FLW?
No. Talking about the man.
Tony Christian?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's been over 20 years. I think it's been over 20 years.
Yeah. I hope your neighbor's roof is really good looking. I hope that is the best looking roof in the neighborhood.
Yeah. They're putting on a new roof to my neighbor to the north.
Shockingly how fast they can get up there and put it on.
It's like a day and a half,
you know,
dude.
and you got 15 people up there hammering away.
Day and a half. Get it done. All right, we're going to take a break, come back with Ott DeFoe, and I've got a very interesting question from a fan right here.
You were fired up about this question. I walked in the studio and you were like, dude, I got an awesome question from a fan for Ott, and I'm looking forward to seeing how he answers it.
Guy's name is Joseph Sharp. We're going to get an answer for him, hopefully. All right, so everybody stay tuned here on a Tuesday. We'll be right back.
New active target by Lowrance.
It exceeded any and all expectations I had.
It really opened up my eyes to things that I never knew happened.
I'm not sure what kind of voodoo they've included in the software, but it's incredibly impressive.
He was messing around, just pitched a little crappie jig in there, and all of a sudden you see the jig come right down in there, and you see the fish come to it. I mean, it was like that.
It's just a complete different universe that we're taking this fishing to. There's no bass safe out there.
Active target by Lowrance. Game on.
Basscat's legendary 20-foot platform has been paired with angler-approved accessories for 2021. Puma FTD features the proven hull used by many of the top names in bass fishing today, backed by a transferable lifetime warranty. The Puma FTD boasts a full team deck concept which enhances efficiency for you and your tournament partners. Turnkey tournament-winning performance. The Puma FTD SP from Basscat.
Pro-inspired, pro-designed. Tested and proven by legends on the water. Dominating the tournament trail for over 50 years. Everything you need, one legendary brand. Strike King.
Hey guys, Major League Fishing Pro, Jacob Wheeler here with my new Signature Series line of rods with Ducket Fishing. We have my 7.2 cranking rod right here. Crankbaits can be very fickle, and having the right, having a lot of tip can be too much, and having not enough tip can, lose a lot of fish. So you really got to be careful. If there's one or two techniques that I'm really adamant about having the perfect action is a crankbait, especially like a square bill, a DT6, those medium running crankbaits in the springtime when those fish's mouth are pretty tough. That's when I'm really on top of having my actions just perfect.
Guys, what makes our Spro lures beat the competition?
I mean, you have to admit, we nailed it with my McSticks and rock crawlers.
Man, we've all won money on my plugs.
My Wamic shot put fish in my boat.
One thing's for sure, we all count on our Spro lures to beat the competition.
Designing cutting-edge baits with some of America's top anglers. Spro lures beat the competition. To see the entire lineup, visit a retailer near you or spro.com.
Big companies get bigger and bigger and talk about their fancy labs where they study fish behavior, but then they all go golfing on the weekend. We don't have a large laboratory to test baits. Why, you ask? We don't need a big laboratory because our pros fish, our employees fish, our salespeople fish, our suppliers fish, our mold builders fish, our owners fish, and our kids fish. This is our laboratory. Our R&D comes from time on the water, learning how to make fish bite. All that time on the water brings us thousands of hours of testing new products and improving current ones for all species.
All of us on the Pro Tournament Trail use Gamakatsu hooks.
Why?
Because they are absolutely the best.
It's not about how many bites you get.
It's how many you put in the boat.
Gamakatsu makes hooks for every fishing style.
We didn't come this far to lose fish.
Did you?
For more information, visit Gamakatsu.com.
The Ned rig. What rod should I be using with the Ned rig? My favorite is the Denali lithium multi-spin rod. It's our 7'4" length, great Ned rig rod. It's got a great sensitive tip on it. It's long enough where I can make long casts, which you're usually fishing clear water with a Ned rig, and it's got enough backbone to get those fish in. So check it out, Denali lithium series, 7'4" multi-spin.
While I travel the country on the Bassmaster Elite Series, I simply can't let the weather be the reason I don't win $100,000. That's why I use Affco clothing to keep me warm, dry, and protected from whatever Mother Nature wants to throw at me. My season depends on it. My career depends on it. Affco. Any fish, any water.
Hey everyone, Brandon Polnick here. People always be asking me what I got tied on. And I'm like, xzone lures. And they're like, Brandon, why you got xzone lures tied on? And I'm like, let me show you why.
The bite.
Get out of there. Get out of there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's freaking digging. Get in here. Oh, God. Giant. Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
I think you get the point.
All right, we are back on a Tuesday, ready to go to our special guest. You know, I have new bumper music.
Is this new?
Yeah, it's all new.
It sounds exactly like the bumper music I've heard for the last 12 years, just a different dude screaming.
Nobody's screaming.
Bumper music for you is just different levels of anger.
It's all good, man. It's new stuff. It is non-copyrighted stuff. All right, to where I don't get in trouble. All right, it is time to go to our special guest. Let's bring him in now. Ott, you there, man?
I'm here, Mark.
Hey, thanks for taking time out. I know that the duck hunting was kind of unexpected, but how's it been so far this morning?
It's been slow. Yeah, it was unexpected, but we were thankful to get an invite to come with some friends, but it's been a good experience. That's what you say about days like this. It's been a good experience. There's not been a lot of shooting practice, but
now,
hunting and fishing are similar in that at times.
It's been well established that I am no hunter. I've actually, but I have been duck hunting with my buddy a couple times who was new to duck hunting. There was no shooting involved. He actually would scare them away when he started calling for them. But that being said, like, what are the other people in your duck blind thing? I mean, you're doing an interview. Aren't you supposed to be like quiet? Are you keeping the ducks away with this? Are they like seriously out? Like you're big leaguing us with an interview in the duck blind?
Well, if if this is what's keeping the ducks away, the ducks must have knew that this was going to happen because they've not been around yet.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
well, I'm with David Mullins and then a mutual friend of ours. So yeah, Mullins he's understandable.
Oh, okay.
All right. So how many times have you been duck hunting?
This would make our second time. Parker's with me, my boy. But yeah, this would make my second time. We went the weekend before Christmas. Got invited on a trip out at Reelfoot. We went a couple mornings out there. But yeah, this would be my second our second time ever duck hunting.
Duck hunters are like obsessed.
Yeah.
Like when it's duck season, they just go crazy.
Yeah. They absolutely do, and that's I have watched David do that the last several years, and I was like, man, you ain't going fishing in? He's like, no, I'm not at all. But I could, and I always I'll be honest, I judged him for it, but I kind of understand why he is the way he is now a little bit, just from a couple times having went.
But he's sitting next to you then.
We actually stepped outside because the service is even worse outside there. But he could probably hear me.
I was going to try to get Mullins to hit us with his best duck call.
I bet you he
like
would.
his 1A. Like if he had a go-to call, like if he could hit us with that, that would be a BTL first.
Hold on just a second.
All right.
Hey Molly, they want to hear you one good, like your best duck call.
Like 1A
on here. He said he didn't bring one. I don't know what kind of duck hunter I'm with.
What?
I bet Wayne can probably hit one for us in here.
Unless it scares him away. I don't want to scare him away. I don't
They
want
haven't killed anything, Matt.
That's what I say.
I don't think it's going to scare anything away.
Oh, there. Wait,
get
there.
ready.
This is Wayne. No, go ahead, Wayne. Give it to me. I'm going to go on me. And if they figure it out,
Can't be sharing duck calls during a pandemic, guys.
Yeah, so somebody hit one. Yeah. All right.
That's a first.
Oh.
Did you get that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Duck calling is it a fair comparison, Ott, to say that duck calling is similar to the cadence of a jerkbait? Like some guys prefer the jerk pause. Everyone thinks that they have that one little twitch that gets them going.
Absolutely, yeah. Everybody's got a secret shake, or it's kind of like shaking a Nico worm, or twitching a jerkbait. Yeah, everybody's got it's a little different method that they use. That's their signature in it. Yeah, I've definitely seen that in what little bit I've been.
Everybody who's watching who has hunting dogs in the house, the hunting dogs just perked up. That's what they said. He said my dog is looking at my phone, very confused right now.
Wow, that's pretty cool. All right. Let's kind of talk about 2021 and forget about the COVID situation, because we could talk about that. We're going to talk about that for the remainder of history. Yeah, but throw out the COVID factor. How would you sum up your 2020? You won $145,000. How would you sum it up?
I would. Dude, it was throwing out COVID, it truly was a fantastic year. We fished 5 events. I got a check in 4 of them. Ended up second in points to some dude named Jordan and barely beat Wheeler. To be sandwiched in between those two. I haven't won a Bass Pro Tour. Fished the cups that I got to fish, and 2020 was a great season. On and off the water for the DeFoe clan, for sure.
Yeah. When you have a successful season, and I would classify it as a successful season, do you still learn from your success? What is something that you learned this year, even though you had a successful year?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think, hopefully you learn on the successful ones, even, the ones that are hard, you feel like you may take those lessons and can apply them. But man, a successful year, you learn to trust yourself just that much more. Those those decisions. I think of, I mean, the first 3 tournaments of the year were my strongest. My strongest 3 had a 30 fall, and then I think 12th at Okeechobee, and then the win down there at Athens. But in each of those, man, there was points of the day or of the event that something really clicked, and those were, I think those ones that you learn where it really works are probably just as good. I feel like I learn as much then as I do or maybe more than I do when I go out and struggle and really I have to look back and say, oh, that's what those guys did to figure it out. When you're the guy that figures it out, I think if you fall on the second day when I started in a place that I didn't fish. I fished it the first day, but it was up in the day. But I started there the second day and just freight trained them, and and then what I learned, just that day alone was really helpful. So it was, I definitely learned a lot this year, and things I saw and trusted my gut on for sure.
Otto, super excited to have you on today because we got in a discussion with Brad Hallman, who was in studio yesterday, and we were talking about how many times have you landed just on the absolute juice nuts where you feel like you are on the biggest, most active school of bass on the lake. You can do no wrong. Yeah. We were talking, he thought maybe once or twice in his life, and I can remember 1 or 2 times. But you mentioned the Lake Athens and what went down underneath that bridge with the pretty much whatever the heck you wanted to throw in there. Right. I'm interested, how many times has that happened to you? Do you feel like that was the biggest, most active school of fish you've ever found? And just kind of talk about when that's going down and how you find it. I mean, was that the craziest day, the best, most active school of fish you'd ever seen in your life?
What's funny is, to be honest, it was one of the bigger schools. But they were not the easiest to catch that I've ever found by any means, to be quite honest. And that's what was kind of funny about that place. And people who go back, who watched it, is they think that, and it was incredible. I mean, there's no denying that. But what was actually swimming there, it was pretty frustrating, really, to be honest. And it sounds completely ignorant to say that, but there were, I'm telling you, within a cast of my boat in nearly any direction, there were thousands of bass. Not 8,000. There were thousands. When they would come up on the surface, there were so many 2 to 4 or 5 pounders, just feeding like crazy. And when I first pulled up there, actually, and I honestly had kind of forgotten that I had done this. I had fished there earlier that day with a jerkbait and didn't catch anything. Because I had marked some fish there in practice, but I pull up there, I fish around the bridge, I fish out through it, I throw a jerkbait, I see a couple fish break just here and there, but I throw at them, I don't catch anything, I move on. When I come back, idle through there, when I actually did start catching them that afternoon, like I idle through, they come up schooling. Or no, they didn't come to school first. I threw a crankbait, a DT10, and I could feel my bait bouncing off of them. And then for 4 casts, I feel my bait bouncing off of them. The 5th cast, I catch one. After I catch that one, a school comes up. I throw a topwater over there. Actually, I picked up a jerkbait. I threw a jerkbait, like 2 or 3 casts, and these fish are going nuts. And I'm jerking a jerkbait through them. And it's the 2nd or 3rd cast of the jerkbait, I finally catch one. I've got a wake bait laying there. I pick it up, and I think I caught one either my first or second throw with a weight bait. But I mean, I have bumped off of fish on 4 casts with a crankbait and only caught one. I have jerked a jerkbait through them where I should have snagged one on every hook because there were so many there, and it took like 3 casts before I caught one. And then I finally did catch one on a topwater pretty quick. But those fish were not easy to catch. There were so many of them there. You think you should have been able to throw a hot dog in there and catch one, but they were not that easy to catch. So it was one of the biggest schools I've ever found, but I truly feel like they were active on the surface, and so they were active, but they really weren't the easiest to catch. I would say I've had a similar experience with at least that active of school of fish, and probably 3 or 4 other times in my career. I feel like sometimes it was in practice, sometimes it was in a tournament. Kentucky Lake, and a couple events there comes to mind, back in its kind of heyday and stuff. But, and then I've had some times at home, local tournament at home. It was on Cherokee one particular time that we had just a crazy school of fish like that. But yeah, no, certainly not a dozen, probably a half a dozen if I really got to thinking about it, how many times I've seen just a mother load of them like that.
We're coming off of a 40-pound, 10-ounce effort at Rayburn, too, in the most recent BFL that they had there. Do you think that, and just put it into fisheries that hold that potential, we're talking a Rayburn somewhere down in Texas, a TVA fishery, do you think that schools of fish like that exist more during certain times of the year, early in the spring? Do they exist on every lake at some point? I mean, do you think that there are untapped or massive schools of fish like that, or is that just a super special scenario where they all group up and begin to feed?
It's definitely a special scenario when that's going on. Yeah, it's not every day of the week, not every day of the month even, that those conditions happen. I'm like there on Athens. We had a really good, a perfect storm of that going on in that, and it was what I picked up on the one day that I got to go down there and look at. We were fishing on Fork, and water's Fork, bigger, deeper lake, and about an hour north of Athens, and it just was set up for that one was that it was just getting warm to where the first wave of fish was coming in, really to spawn at Fork. Where down there, when I got down there that day of practice, I noticed right away that the water temperature was like 5 or 6 degrees, maybe warmer. And I started going around the bank looking for beds. I mean, that's what was working on Fork. There's plenty of beds, but there was no fish on them. So it immediately made me think that there was a group of fish that were done spawning. And that, I mean, from about an hour and a half into the one day of practice there, I moved out offshore and found a group of fish that was just insane. It honestly comparable or even more so than to what I ended up catching. So it was a perfect storm to where those fish had probably been done. There were still fish pre-spawn. There were fish post-spawn there already. And it was just a perfect storm of catching fish that were, hadn't pulled back up yet, and ones that were already done pulling out to feed. So you get the right, whether it's weather or wind or water conditions, like the Rayburn tournament in the FLW a few years ago. They were there in March, I think, when the lake was, whatever it was, 12 or 15 feet high. And those, the fish were just schooled up incredibly well. We're going to be there in late March this year. Maybe it'll be that way, but it may just be the deal where the fish are just scattered out on the bank. So it definitely takes special conditions, it seems like, to make those incredible schools like that.
Wow, interesting. All right, several people on the instant feedback, they want to know, what is the status and the situation with the OG Slim?
It's funny you say that. Right before y'all called, a buddy of mine here had just called me and said, "Hey, some people sent me pictures, or heard they were catching them on Douglas here close by the house on that bait already." And our Kodak Bass Pro store manager texted me a picture this morning that they've got some in. A buddy of mine that manages the store over in Charlotte had texted me last night that they've got some in. So they're certainly in some Bass Pros. I don't know if they're in all of them yet. I think they're in. I think they're online on Bass Pro. But yeah, definitely are starting to hit the shelves. Here in the last week or so.
All right. More stuff from the instant feedback. Dave wants to know, what do you think your wheelhouse is? Late winter, pre-spawn? What is it?
Every time he hits the water, have you looked at his stats?
He wants to know, man.
Yeah. If I could pick any condition under the sun, the time of year, it would most definitely be pre-spawn. Like around the time of the year when the Classic is, the one in Knoxville was and stuff, that kind of what we fished at Eufaula this year, where it was, February, I think, when we were down there, early March. I don't even remember when it was. Pre-spawn, that water temperature from 50 to up to low 60s, but the fish are not spawning yet. I really love fishing February, March, dirty water in the 50s. That is my most favorite time of year, no doubt about it.
All right. North of the border, our friend Nanad wants to know, do you have goals? And if you do, what are some of your future goals in this game?
Absolutely. And that being right here around the first of the year, Jenny and I, every year, we actually have a notebook. We write our goals in, for the next year. And that's something that we've done 10 years or so, I think, that we have literally written them down, for the last several years. Parker, I'll tell me again here in just a minute, buddy. But yeah, so that's one we always write down goals of, stuff as a family, like, paying stuff off, paying those kind of things. Having winning a trophy has been one that's been on them. So that's winning the tournament, whether that's a cup or a Bass Pro Tour or Angler of the Year, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's always a goal. Making the next year's championships, making Red Crest, making heavy hitters, those are goals. That's mostly what kind of our goals consist of.
All right, Matt?
Is it weird to be one of the veteran guys here? It seemed like for the longest time you were one of the young guns, so
up
to
and
speak.
comers.
I'm not saying you're old by any means, but you look at some of the guys around you, and they're like younger than you. I mean, does it seem?
Oh yeah.
You ever think about? I mean, dude, you've been doing this a long time.
Yeah, it has been a long time. I mean, that's what's funny about it. I'm 35, but I've been at it a while. Fished FLW for 4 years, fished the elites for 8, and then about to start on the 3rd year with MLS. So yeah, 15 years or so in as a pro. So it is funny to kind of be transitioning out of that younger guy into that almost veteran, as you would call it anyway.
Yeah, you're 100
category of that. I mean, it's neat to do that, and certainly I guess the part of that I probably value the most, I think, is that some of the younger guys that have come in and stuff, that I feel like I've got the respect of most of my peers, and that's something that I don't take lightly. Is that
who don't you have? You said most. Right, I'm trying. Who would respect you? You're like a universally respected, wouldn't you say?
Yeah.
Mark, here's my question. Was it ever a year-to-year basis with you? I mean, it seems like you've always caught fish. You're an established pro, the sponsors. I mean, you had the Classic, you had the titles, you got the millions in earnings. Was there ever a year when you were 22, 23, 24 where you're like, man, I don't know if I'm going to make it to next year?
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, those first few years especially, starting with FLW, I won't say it was definitely my second year. The first year was kind of, it was fair. It wasn't really terribly rocky. The second year, early in the season, it started off pretty rough. I had no sponsors back then, and was just, I went like 2 or 3 tournaments to start the year without a check. And when you're paying for stuff yourself, that was, and didn't have a bankroll account at home to dip that out of. You get 10 or 15,000, in the hole right out of the bat, and nothing coming in. It makes you wonder if you're going to be able to finish the season. But that was the time when it turned around and went to where God had a plan. Went to the next tournament and got a check, and then went to ever started at Santee and won, and then went to an FLW at Norman and got a good check there. It went from not knowing if we were going to make it to the next event to winning nearly $50,000 in like 4 weeks. So that's one of those times I can look back and see where God's hand was on it, and it just made a way when we were looking at it. Didn't know if it was going to be possible, but that was the time. And then had a FLW team deal in 2009. That was incredible. First year I ever had any real sponsorship. Well, then it went away before 2010 came, so it was that way. I finally got something, and then went away again, and that was when I decided to make the switch to bass. Was 2010 fishing the opens and stuff, and that was a very trying time because we were going from a fairly low commitment with FLW. The entry fees were in the $20,000 range, and travel was maybe 10 or less. And then knowing that we were going to start spending 45 or whatever just in entry fees, and another 5 or 10,000 in travel, so it was doubling our cost. With still basically no sponsors, so that was like, yeah, we're going to give this a whirl, but if we get 4 tournaments in and ain't done well, that's going to be the end of it.
Wow.
All right. Several people want to know, where's the coolest place, most funnest place that you've taken your shallow water jet boat?
Oh, probably Minnesota. Filmed a few shows up there on upper Mississippi and Minnesota for smallmouth. That's probably just everything about it. I mean, the shallow, clear water, those great big giant smallmouth that were extremely eager to bite anything you threw at them, basically, but especially top water. I caught some up there that were 6 pounds on top water.
Wow!
It was just, it was incredible. That probably was the coolest place. As far as like neat things, there's been a lot of places it's fun just running it. The shoal blast down in Alabama and Georgia and stuff, like on the Flint River. That's really neat because, those fish don't live just everywhere. So the fact that you can go and catch a unique species like you can down there on the Flint is a really cool deal too.
You know what MLF needs to do? They can do whatever they want. You can have whatever type of tournaments you want, wherever you want. Why don't you have like a specialty tournament where it's like Poche, you, David Walker, just tunnel hulls, jet boats, whatever. Put you on a fishery that just has log jams, beaver dams, rivers, creeks, wherever you want to go, and just have a tournament where everybody's got their specialty rigs. Just like the 10 or 12 of you guys who do that thing.
Yeah.
Hell, make it a multi-deal and throw Kennedy in the mix there. Just put it on one of those lakes out there where you have 3 or 4 of those things that you can go 30, 40 miles up and see how
get after it.
Just get after it.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to limit you from it. Just embrace it.
Yeah.
Just a one-off tournament. I would watch the heck out of that. Would you not watch that, Mark?
That would be cool.
I would be glued. I would do pay-per-view on that.
Yeah. That would be cool. That would be cool. All right. An interesting question on the instant feedback. The question is, being in the heart of the game, what do you foresee for the future of the leagues, the sport, and the overall tournament scene, Ott?
That's a big, broad question there. Man, who knows? I mean, you really have no idea at this point. I love, and it's funny because people ask me all the time, they're like, "Are you fishing? You fishing major league again next year?" I'm like, "Absolutely, I am." I mean, I love what we're doing. I love, the direction it's going. Bass was excellent for me. I loved my time there. FLW was great for me. I enjoyed that time there. I have watched Parker has gotten into the junior fishing and stuff, and being in the boat with them. I think they fished a few tournaments on Cherokee. Well, it's got a 15-inch size limit, and they catch 14.5-incher, and it's just like, fish weighed 1.6 pounds. 14 3/4. He's telling me over here. A decent fish, especially for a 9-year-old. So it's like, but they got to throw it back. It doesn't count. I love the fish that we can. It's a 1 pound minimum. You catch it, you weigh it, you let it go, and you get to keep track of that. So I love that aspect of our deal. I would, and so I would love to be able to mass produce that to where that could go to high school, that could go to college, it could go to a weekend tournament. You hear stuff from a lot of other weekend anglers and stuff that say that they love to, that they would love to be able to fish our format and stuff, but there's just really no way to widespread that at the moment. That they fished a Bass Nation tournament on Douglas and ended up catching a decent limit and had 8 pounds and coming like 6th place in that one or something. So it was like 95 junior teams, and but they caught a couple, so they didn't get to count everything they caught. But the direction it's going to go, who knows as to what the future holds. But I think the neat thing is that so many people still, they can fish 5 fish. They embrace that, and they enjoy that because that's what they prefer to watch that because that's what they can do. I think if we were able to make every fish count widespread, people who are kind of on the fence, they're like, well, it seems neat, but I really like this because it's what I can do. Maybe some of them would change, maybe they wouldn't. And there's no right or wrong with that. It's just, personal preference. One last thing on that I'll mention, probably my favorite part of our format is the fact that we don't, we do blast off, but you've got 30 minutes to get wherever you're going. Some events we do trailer takeoffs. There's no race back to weigh in. It takes out, we eliminated a lot of the potential, if a mechanical failure happens, that it ruins your day, ruins your week, ruins your year. We took those factors out of it. That's probably what I like as much about ours. 5 fish, every fish, whatever. Generally speaking, the people who do well still do well. Doesn't matter which format they're in, but that taking out those variables that you can't control anyways is what I like about ours as much as anything.
All right, I'm going to get to the question that I received from a fan via email, and I mentioned this to Matt. And his first name is Joseph, and the subject on the email says motivation. And this is his comment.
An email, not a comment. He took the time to email that to you.
Yeah. It says...
Email. Okay, Joseph. It
says,
hello.
Let's hear
what motivation he's got.
Yeah. Hello. Welcome to 2021. I want to be a more positive person and a more motivated person, whether it's on or off the water. What are some tips that can keep me living positive in 2021?
Did you write this email, Mark, or did Ott write? Or did you? Okay, it is not from you. Okay, I thought maybe that you had just written that email under a pseudonym.
No.
He wrote it as Joseph. So.
No.
Okay.
No.
That is a great question from Joseph to take the time to write there. Yeah, man, that motivation is. I'm gonna be. I'll shoot you straight, Joseph. Here's the deal: motivation is something that is not. It's almost not really taught. My wife and I talk about this at times. We were. From the time we started dating to, being married and all the way to where we are now, we were both very determined people. And she was determined to have children, and I was determined to be a pro fisherman. So that was kind of our determination.
And you both succeeded.
So far, we both succeeded in that. But that's, I don't have a great answer for you to really be honest, because to me, I don't know that motivation is something you can teach someone. You either have the desire to want to do something, like you said, whether it's on or off the water, or there's just not enough driving force in it. I think my motivation for myself and my family is rooted in, number one, I'm extremely thankful. I'm thankful that God gave me the drive to do what I do. I love bass fishing. I love spending time in the outdoors, and it's incredible to me that I get to call it my job. That's how I can provide a living for my family. But then that is my motivation for it now. Is that I've got a wife and 3 kids to support and feed and provide for them. through that, through that means of making a living. And in a lot of ways, they're my motivation, but it's kind of always been there. I mean, it was hard for me to get up to go to school Monday through Friday, but then on Saturday when Dad would say, "Hey, let's get up, we've got a tournament," I was dressing in the truck. Now I'd go right back to sleep, but I was dressing in the truck in minutes. So it was, I don't really have a great answer for teaching motivation. It's just,
so you would,
where it is.
You would suggest that Joseph drop out of school. Is that what you're saying?
No.
If he's motivated enough that he knows he can make it, and whatever his field of expertise is, I probably shouldn't say that, but I'm not against it.
Have you? Okay, so listen, you've got Mullins in the duck blind there. You finished second in the Angler of the Year this year. He finished second in the Angler of the Year on the Elite Series there.
No, we did. Yeah.
Do you get motivation from that? I mean, do you guys bounce stuff off like that? Like, man, I'm so motivated to get that one additional spot next year and get that trophy.
Well, we've not talked about it much. I mean, when he had one tournament left and stuff, I texted him, before that event, just told him that I was praying for him and hoping that it would work out and everything. And I've not brought it up much since, because I know how that's the second time I've come in second, so I know how bad, especially the first one, stings that you come in second. So I've not mentioned it much, but just kind of let him have his time with it.
Well, let me ask you this. You haven't experienced failure that often, but can failure be a motivational thing? Because I know with me, if I'm not doing something that I feel that I should be doing it at a certain level, I get angry.
Right. Yes, you do.
All right. I get upset, and then I become obsessed.
Ott doesn't get angry.
With trying
getting angry.
No, trying to achieve whatever the goal is that I want. I mean, anger sometimes is motivation.
I see Mullins getting angry. I see Ott doing more of like a yoga thing.
No. But am I wrong on that, Ott? Is that true?
No, you're not. It absolutely is. And what's funny, I think that like we're out here in the duck blind right now this morning, not done any good, and I would be just as eager to come back in the morning, because we've seen one duck, but I'd be just as eager to come back tomorrow because today wasn't a success. It wasn't what it could have been, wasn't what we wanted it to be, and I've seen that just in fun fishing around home some this fall. We go out and have an okay day. But it's like, man, it wasn't. If we'd have done this just a little sooner, we'd have done. We'd have caught more or whatever. Parker and I fished a tournament on Black Friday, and we took the jet boat, went way up the river, and at like noon or 11 o'clock, we had one fish and come back down and started fishing some stuff actually into the lake a little bit, and ended up catching 14 pounds and coming in sixth. And we had out of nearly 100 boats come in sixth place, decent finish. But I was so mad because I was like, why did we wasted all that time? Most people would have been pretty happy with a sixth place finish. I was pretty mad. Now 20 pounds won. There was the chance of us figuring out enough to catch 20 was slim. But if we'd have finished second, which was 16, I'd have felt like I would have drove home happy. But yeah, no, definitely failure and not hitting the mark motivates you even that much more. So we went back and went fishing the next day. Just to go fun fishing and see what we could catch. So,
Group of kids coming up.
Yeah.
Cal Lay now and the Howells and Jackson Urbanus and it's going to be impossible to cash a check in 5 years.
It's going to be cool.
Because you guys are all going to be like 40 to 45 in your primes, and your kids are going to be like hungry assassins, like 18 to 21. Like 90% of the checks are going to be split between like 7 families in professional fishing.
That's going to be cool. All right. As far as Joseph, maybe take one thing. Take one thing in 2021 and focus on that one thing and really try to achieve what you might establish a goal on for that one thing and do everything you can to reach the pinnacle of whatever that one thing is.
That's a great advice. To focus your efforts on one thing. I mean, if that's fishing your bass club and winning the points, if that's whatever it is. I mean, in the BFLs and making the regional, focus all your effort, all your drive. And if it's kind of what you were saying with this, Mark, is that if he ends up one place shy, you know what he's going to do the next year? He's going to work. He's going to be even that much more motivated.
Yeah.
Now, if he achieves it, he's going to be like, "Job well done," and then he's going to set his goal higher the next year. But if he misses it by 1 point or one place or whatever, that next year you can bet there'll be a fire under him like no other.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool. All right, man. A number of people want to know, how is your health?
Good, man. Really good. I appreciate people asking. I appreciate them having prayed for me and stuff. But yeah, everything is great here. Yeah, that was not something I expected as a 33-year-old to have heart surgery about a year and a half ago. But yeah, definitely doing really well.
All right, very nice. I have to ask this because I'm just this is a personal question. When you do have some time off and you're sitting in your house and you're just kind of hanging out and you look up and you see that Bassmaster Classic trophy, do thoughts ever run through your mind about what an amazing accomplishment that was?
It does. Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, I think of having went to those events as a kid and, watching the guys win that won those. And it does. And especially if I go back and watch it, we watched some of it, for a little bit ago.
That's cool.
And it was, just a clip of it or something. But somebody asked about when Parker and I were at Mark Rose's, he wanted his daughter and wife to see the moment where Lizzie made everybody cry on stage. So we pulled that up and showed it to him. It is to go back and watch it. But it's, man, maybe I should enjoy that more. But I don't want to. I don't know. I'm not one of those guys to sit back and I'm sorry, it's not my ringtone.
Yeah.
Every month at the DeFoe house, the third Friday of every month, friends and family come over and you watch the 3-hour show on TV.
That is not what I'm talking about.
Play some board games, and then at 7 o'clock you turn the day 3 of the Bassmaster Classic from the Tennessee River on.
Yeah. All right, man. One final question. Do you have any?
It is.
Very cool. All right. Do you have anything else, Matt? And then
no,
I have
I'm done.
final question.
I'm good.
All right. I have to ask this. All right, because of this new gig that I'm starting with BTL on the Bass Zone. Was music and has music been important to you from a memory standpoint? In other words, are there certain songs, certain bands out there that you can reflect and tie in certain memories, be it fishing, be it high school, be it whatever, but was music important to you growing up and even now, Ott?
Yeah, it definitely is. It's funny because, I mean, some that were songs that just, when you listen, think of a song and it immediately takes me back to an exact place, or songs we listen to driving to high school every single day, or whatever it was. I know music has always been there, and something that I can hear a certain song or lyrics or whatever, and I can go to almost the exact time and place. Yeah, for sure.
Little known fact: Ott actually sings in his church choir, Mark.
Oh, very nice.
Yep.
Very nice.
Yeah, sure do. But when we've had it, it's been a while.
Yeah. He also hates heights and roller coasters. That's in the same paragraph there on his profile.
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Heights are my greatest fear for sure.
I'm with you.
We went to the Bass Pro Pyramid, and if you've ever been to the Bass Pro Pyramid, you can ride the elevator up to the center and up to the restaurant. Like we get about 40 feet off the floor, and I'm watching the floor go away.
Yeah.
And I just lean over, close my eyes, and put my head in the corner until the elevator stopped moving.
My last thing. I know you gotta get back to your duck hunting.
Yeah.
Mullins is probably giving you the sideways look. You don't want to get.
Yeah.
We've not missed one yet.
Okay, so I too get the wobbly knees and the weak knees for a fear of heights. That being said, I'm obsessed with this guy named Mustang Wanted, who's over in Europe, and he actually free climbs like the Seven Spires in Russia and stuff like that. Just like city climbing, like walks out on the beams and all that. And I'm interested in it because think about how much he can master his own emotions and his feel and how much he can. And I'm saying that comes up in fishing for me. I don't know if you do, but you get that moment where it's like fight or flight, and it's kind of the same like with the heights. And I've always wanted to try to master the heights and overcome that fear and have enough confidence in myself, because you can stand there 6 inches away from a crack on the cement and know 100% you're never going to step over that crack. But if there's a 3-story drop on the other side, you're like, well, what if I suddenly stumble or hurl off? And you're like, why is that even in me? I would like to have that much control over me to know that I have that much faith. Like, I've always wanted to master the fear of heights for some weird reason. I don't know why. Have you ever had the urge to try to overcome that fear, or you're just going to live the rest of your life away from ledges?
I'll live the rest of my... I'm totally good with
You're good with
being
it.
near a high drop-off. Completely good. I have no desire to master.
It bugs me for some reason that I get so weak-kneed and nervous, because there's no reason to be.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I have absolutely no desire to overcome that fear.
Do you, Jeffries, have a fear of heights?
We'll get into this later.
Oh, there's a story behind it? Like a childhood story with heights?
Oh, not even childhood. There's an adulthood story.
Oh, we got to let Ott go back and hunt, but I want to hear this after we're off air.
Yeah. So anyway.
I'll finish one extra thought with that at that Bass Pro Pyramid. So there's like a viewing deck you can go outside. Well, to make it cool, it has a glass floor. And my kids are out there like walking on this glass up towards the railing and stuff. And other people's kids were as well. And I was almost in tears, wanting to yell and scream at them to get back next to the building. Like I'm leaned against the building, holding on to it, and there's no wind. There's nothing going to blow me off of this thing. But I'm like looking for a handle to hold on to the building because it's a glass bottom and a balcony.
His second-degree fear of heights. He sees other people. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It wasn't just my kids. I was worried about everybody.
Wow.
Of it. And we could see my truck from down there, and we actually saw people walking by taking pictures of it, which was funny. But that was. I wanted nothing to do with it.
Sorry, we had to make you relive a traumatizing experience.
Well, I'm actually not going to climb these steps back in the duck blind.
No, I have to ask this too. Have you ever bowled in the pyramid, in the Bass Pro Shops pyramid?
I have, yeah. Parker and I were just there the other day. We did. We bowled just the other day there. Yep.
Yeah, that's a cool place.
In between. Yeah, it is. It's a really awesome place.
Very cool.
The coolest
All right.
Bass Pro ever, in my opinion.
Yeah. Very cool. All right, we're going to let you go, man. Best of luck to you in 2021,
thanks,
and thanks for taking time out. And hopefully you'll get a few ducks, man.
I hope so. If not, we'll go try to catch a fish anyways this afternoon. But yeah, thank you guys for having me on. I always appreciate it, and I'm glad to be a part.
All right, man. Take care.
Yeah.
All right. Guys. See you. There you have it, folks. Ott DeFoe.
All right, let's hear it.
Well, there's a couple.
Well, let's hear the most traumatizing.
Well, there's two, actually. The first one is I had a panic attack.
When is this? You got to set the scene.
This is let's see here. No, 2005.
That was recent.
15, yeah,
well,
15,
recent,
15 years ago. 15, 16 years ago.
All right, so
in St. Louis.
Right before you completely stopped to go full-time with the Bass Zone.
Yeah. In St. Louis on vacation at the top of the St. Louis Arch.
Been there many times.
All right,
and I told Carolyn,
I told Carolyn, I'm not going up there. I'm not going up there.
Viewing windows at the very top.
Dude, the little box that they put you in to get up there.
It's a box.
I was just terrified of the whole experience.
Really?
Got up there and had a panic attack.
In the little viewing area.
It took me almost an hour just sitting down, trying to compose myself to get back in that box to get back down the thing.
Like, did they have people from the?
Yeah.
They like came over. I'm sure
Yeah.
they're used to that.
Yeah, I was all. So I mean, I was sweating
Full on
like crazy.
panic attack.
Oh, full on.
Really?
Yeah. Do
What
not
was
lie to
Carolyn
heights.
saying?
Oh, she was worried about me.
And they're probably just walking around,
Yeah,
looking
it's
out
like
the window.
no big deal. Mark's just, but I don't have a fear of flying. Flying doesn't
Everyone's
bother me.
looking at you.
Yeah, flying doesn't bother me.
Okay.
The other one, and I don't know how I pulled
So nothing
this off.
wrong happened. It went
Nothing-
completely smooth. You just did not appreciate being at the top of the
I
arc.
wanted no part of that. The other one was, I remember I was 16 years old, and it was my first discovery of heights. I was in San Francisco at a youth bowling tournament, and we had a break, and we decided to walk across the Golden Gate Bridge.
Okay.
All right. And I got about halfway there.
They have a little walkway down the side of it, don't they, to where if you want to walk across.
I got about halfway, and I looked over, and I threw up. And I sat down, and I could not move.
That's where you just look off. You'd probably, look off to your right and see Alcatraz there?
Yeah, we were on the right side. Yeah.
See, look, I'm a geographic genius.
Yeah, that's impressive. But yeah, puked my guts out, sat down, facing the road, not the water, and my friends pretty much had to drag me off of the bridge.
That's a long walk.
Oh, yeah.
It's like a mile.
Yeah. And I threw up 2 more times on the way back to the car. So I am not a heights guy. And then you know what I ended up doing? Right before I puked, Paul looks over at me, my buddy Paul, and he goes, "Hey, man, let's throw some pennies."
No.
And we started throwing pennies off the bridge. And then I threw a penny, and boom, I puked, and I was done.
Look up Mustang Wanted.
Done.
He doesn't even speak English. I haven't looked him up in a couple months. He's one mistake away from never having another YouTube video. But Mustang Wanted will absolutely blow your mind as far as heights.
Yeah, there's I don't even know what state it is. I think it's Colorado. There's some bridge that is the highest bridge in America or something. I think it's
Colorado.
I think it's Colorado.
Oh,
and you can take a train across it. Yeah, I wouldn't do it.
You would never
We were on vacation.
skydive.
Oh, hell no, not at all. Never. Not even with a dude strapped on my back or however they do it.
Well, that would be the only way you would do it. It's not like they'd let you go solo the first time.
I want nothing to do with that,
See,
man.
here's
Zero.
the weird thing. I am oddly drawn to conquering that fear. Even though I have the same fear. I'm oddly drawn to... I would love to have enough internal, self-awareness.
Would you rock climb? With the ropes and all that?
I mean, yeah. So I watched the Alex Honnold documentary. So I'm kind of into this stuff. So Alex Honnold is the world's greatest free climber. It's weird that I'm into this stuff. I know.
Yeah.
And he actually climbed the face of Half Dome and stuff in Yosemite with no ropes or harnesses or anything. There's actually a documentary, a really good documentary about him climbing the face of this mountain. He was the first one to free solo. It's called free soloing. He just has a bag of chalk and he literally just starts climbing, and he's climbing stuff that high-end level climbers can't climb. And literally one mistake and he's done, and it goes through the whole deal. But it's just that self-awareness of being able to... I would think that if you could master that fear when things start going bad on the water in a fishing-related... it would have to increase your self-awareness. I'm going to get super Rick Clunny over the last 2 shows, especially after yesterday and the intentional blindness. And
I had no idea you were into this climbing guy.
Yeah.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's good stuff. It's interesting, but it all comes back to understanding why you spin out, why your emotions are that, why you don't trust yourself in that scenario.
Yeah.
So it could come down to making a long run or a sketchy run or spinning out when things aren't going right. And if you can internalize that and then conquer that fear, it would have to help you in every aspect of life, would it not?
Yeah. No,
so
I
even
agree.
though it's just, I can stand on a ledge and know that I'm not going to fall off, you internalize that and then apply it to other aspects.
Yeah.
of
You
your
ever
life.
been to San Francisco?
Yeah, a bunch.
You ever been across
With
the bridge?
walruses on the docks and the crabs on the corner, and I've been across the Golden Gate Bridge. I'm a well-traveled man.
Vacations were important to you as a kid, weren't
Yeah,
they?
my
family.
Yeah, I went out there with the family. Actually, we've seen fireworks there on the pier out there.
Yeah.
I've actually been out to Alcatraz, toured the jail out there.
Yeah. How about Seattle? You ever been to Seattle?
Have never been to Seattle. No, I've done the Oregon coast, Northern
Portland?
California and Oregon coast.
Portland? Ever been to Portland?
No, Grants Pass. I have family out in Grants Pass. So
Okay.
like Rogue River, that whole coast area.
Yeah.
Is phenomenal. So when we were out there, there's a guy who he was fishing in a kelp bed. He was basically he was punching a drop shot rig through the kelp beds.
Yeah.
I was probably 15 years old. So he'd have like some sort of ocean worm that came out of a tube worm or something, and he'd have it on the hook, and then you had like a triangle shaped weight, right?
Yeah.
And he's on the bank, big surf rod, and you chuck it as high as you can. It goes, doo, punches through the kelp, and then there are these big sunfish down there that would eat it. So I actually got to catch a couple. He was, I stopped. I was like, oh man, I like to fish.
That's cool.
And he let me catch a couple of these weird East Coast kelp living sunfish.
That's West Coast.
West Coast.
Yeah.
Sunfish looking things. I've never done. So the other thing I've never done the East Coast. They call them rockfish. Ike does it all the time out there.
Yeah.
Like in the bay and stuff for the I think they do salmon, and then they also do the stripers, which is what they call rockfish.
Yeah. How about calico bass? You ever caught a calico bass?
No, that is on the list of things to do. Actually, a bunch of those guys who work for Affco.
Yeah.
There's actually one that they just put up a calico bass deal that I saw on Instagram on Tackle Warehouse.
Really cool looking fish.
Yeah,
man.
and they eat like jigs, spinner baits, everything. You can punch them, do whatever you want to catch them.
Caught them.
Swim baits.
Caught them when I was a kid.
From the bank, or did you go out?
No. Out on a boat, right by one of the runways for LAX, the LA airport. Actually, when you take off, you go right over an area that is pretty infamous for kelp beds, and you'd be out there fishing. I remember my dad's friend. His name was George Fallon. I can't believe I remember his name. George Fallon was his name. And he had a little 18-foot boat with a 75-horse Johnson. And we were in the ocean.
White Johnson?
Yeah.
Nice. Tiller steer?
No.
Oh.
No, it was right side steering. Anyway, we would go fish those kelp beds, and the planes would be taking off over you, and we're out there catching calico bass. So it was pretty cool, man. Cool stuff. All right.
Yeah, that's on the list. So I got the crappie video is out, the ice fishing video. It's not a how-to video. It's just me freaking out being on the ice. So go check that out on the BTL YouTube channel to see me ice fishing. And like I said, as I travel around, I'm looking for just not particularly bass fishing, but it's just wild video adventures. We don't have to catch anything.
Yeah.
I've got a couple in mind.
Are you motivated this year, man?
Yeah.
Yeah. Joseph, good question, man. I appreciate him sending that in.
Do you think I'm motivated? You think?
100%. 100%, man.
It doesn't mean I'll make it this year.
Yeah, I don't think
just because you're
motivation
motivated doesn't mean that you're going to succeed.
Yeah.
But it's a good step in succeeding as long as you can channel your motivation.
I agree. All right, folks. Gray Buck tomorrow. Can't wait to talk to him. And then on Thursday, our first day 4 with Frank Scalish. Can't wait for that. All right, good stuff today. I want to thank Ott DeFoe for taking time out of the duck blind. That's a first.
That's bad that not a single duck flew over during the 45-minute interview we had him on.
That's
and it was kind of
first.
cool. Two guys that finished second in the Angler of the Year in the top 2 leagues in fishing. Sitting there not killing any ducks together, though.
Yeah.
There's a lot of knowledge, a lot of success, a lot of money earned in that duck blind.
No doubt. All right, back at the same time tomorrow, folks. That's it. We're out of here.